Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Kaufman from Stevanato Group and Michael Earl from Owen Mumford Pharmaceutical Services. And today we're going to continue to talk about the collaboration that OMPS and Stevanato Group have in terms of the new Aidaptus. So gentlemen, first of all, it's lovely to see you both. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks.
Oh, no one knows who to speak first.
We're terrific. I think we've been seeing a lot of each other recently at a lot of the events with our customers, but it's great to see you. Thank you for having us.
It was great to see you both, actually. And actually, just on that, I know you've both been at a lot of events recently. So how have the events been recently that you've attended? Because I know both of you attended various events, whether it's PDA Prefilled and also PODD. So how were those events?
I think they've been, I wouldn't quite say like the old days, but it's been much more normal, sort of post-COVID. I think there's been a lot of energy at the meetings because I think people are pleased to be able to, see colleagues and friends that they've not seen for the past couple of years and actually have proper face-to-face discussions. We've all learned how to work virtually, but sometimes there's no substitute for actually being face-to-face with somebody, and it's been great actually.
And what about for you, Stevens? I know you are well-travelled in terms of exhibitions, my friend.
Yeah, sure. I just got back a few minutes ago from Boston, but I would agree with what Michael said. I think a lot of people are relieved and excited to finally be meeting in person. And I think they're also quite intrigued by having a true alternative for a new auto injector that's got a proven technology. And I think that the business development teams have been working well together to try to communicate the message to the customer. But I really see the interest in auto injector, especially 1ml 2.25, continuing to grow. I think the market really needs this kind of solution.
Brilliant. Well, before we touch on the collaboration, talk about it in more depth. Michael, could you give me a very quick overview of OMPS and your role there? Okay,
sure. So OMPS, the Pharmaceutical Services part of the Owen Mumford Limited business. Owen Mumford Limited is a very long established, about 70 years old medical device manufacturer. We really have two parts of the business, one of which is doing medical devices that are sold directly to hospitals, healthcare systems, consumers. And then there's my part of the business, which is the Pharma Services business, which is all about drug delivery devices. So I'm responsible for that business within Owen Mumford.
Brilliant. And Stephen, if you don't mind doing the same as well.
Yeah, sure. I think Michael and I have similar roles and responsibilities, but I'll try to expand. So Stevanato Group is also more than 70 years old and quickly approaching 75. And it's become a true integrated solution provider. I think a lot of companies got to know us as OMPI and have heard other names of companies that we've acquired and amalgamated within Stevanato Group. And I think our goal with collaborations like this is to leverage new technologies, but also build on our core competence. So 1ml 2.25 prefilled syringe, which we're making significant numbers of those, as well as complex but very flexible subassembly equipment, final assembly equipment, and then manufacturing, of course, currently at Germany. My responsibility is primarily business development, but also product management related to drug delivery systems as the VP, as well as working strategically with top management and people such as Ricardo Buta, Paolo Petri, Mauro Stocchi, and working to develop our strategy in the drug delivery device space. And working with partners such as Owen Mumford has been, I think, very key to our strategy in the past year.
Brilliant. Now let's talk about the collaboration. So why did OMPS and Stevanato Group decide to collaborate in the first place? Michael, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the the real basis of the collaboration is that the drug development business is all about managing risk,
sure,
mitigating risk wherever you can, and actually when people come to choose delivery devices to put their valuable drugs within, managing risk is also a great part of that. And by combining the capacities and the expertise and the capabilities of the two organizations, what we've been able to do is to take what is a a really unique device that is resonating extremely well with the pharma biotech customer base, and actually give people the confidence that by choosing Aidaptus as an auto-injector for their product, they're buying into the capabilities and resources of two organizations who have between them, cover all the bases you need in expertise, give them some optionality when it comes to sourcing and supply chain. With the success to date of the device has been that we are having conversations with some very big customers about potentially very big demand for the organization, for the device. And one of the things that inevitably comes out of that is second sourcing. Well, we can do that between the two companies. Geographical flexibility as to where things are going to be manufactured, with an eye on sustainability as well, trying to keep the transportation down. And just, the resources of the two companies together are better able to satisfy the demand and mitigate the risk than just OM Mumford on its own. OM Mumford's got a great history of auto-injector development and very successful manufacturing of some very big volume products, but this could be huge. So having two companies working together is a really good idea.
Steve, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would echo many of the comments, if not all of the comments Michael made, and try to emphasize the collaboration is certainly far more than two people. We have strong executive engagement, which I think is vital to success. We had that from the very beginning of the early talks a few years ago. And I think the collaboration has grown quite naturally, which I think companies, when they're looking to choose a partner or partners to provide a device to them, they want to be sure that there's a strong cultural fit, not only with their company, but within the supply chain. And I've mentioned it to Michael when we were together just recently in Boston. I think with the current geopolitical environment, supply chain post-COVID, Pharma is going to be looking even more strongly at what's your risk mitigation strategy from day one, sure. not what's your risk mitigation strategy from year 5. And so by working collaboratively, we see the business development teams, the product management teams, the operation and the R&D providing the support to bring this program to market. And I think Michael has shared it a couple of times. People have already signed up, companies are actively engaged. And what we're starting to really see now is how we have to even expand and really be sure that we can meet all of the needs and the requirements of those customers.
Yeah. Now, for viewers who are not familiar with what the collaboration actually entails, can we take one step back and say, what are you actually collaborating on? Because you've mentioned it in passing, the auto-injector and Aidaptus, but there may be people listening to this for the first time and won't know what the hell you're talking about. So if you forgive me if we take a step back and say, what is the actual collaboration? Okay,
so let me try to explain that to start with. So Aidaptus is a two-step auto-injector, which is designed to take fill volumes between 0.3 ml and a 1 ml syringe up to 2 mils in a 2.25, and very flexibly. It's a true platform, and it is a device that was developed entirely in-house by OM Mumford. We will lead with most customers, so most customers will contract with OM Mumford, but we combine resources in terms of the supply chain. So initially, Stevanato Group will be doing, when we go to, which we are doing, when the multi-cavity tooling is ready and we get into having capacity of many millions available, that molding is being done, as Stephen said, by the German part of Stevanato in Bauder. And then we've got, optionality in terms of scaling up further beyond then. Both companies will be doing sub-assemblies. So the product which is actually delivered to pharmaceutical companies will come from either OM Mumford or Stevanato or both, where second source is required. It'll be identical, common quality standards, etc. Stevanato bring other things to collaboration as well as just industrialization muscle. one of the other things which pharma companies need to be satisfied with when they're mitigating their risk in choosing the device is final assembly capabilities as well. And the SVM part of the SG group has got huge expertise in providing final assembly equipment to both the CDMOs and pharma companies directly. And the fact that we're collaborating with them means that when customers are looking for a solution to final assembly issues, we've already got it. So the work that's being done between the two companies in terms of understanding the automated assembly of the final product means that there is I wouldn't quite call it an off the shelf because it's never quite that simple, but a ready solution to most of the issues they're going to have. We're also having conversations with people very early in their drug development where they haven't even chosen a primary container. And actually for some companies, and Stephen and I had a lunch meeting with a company in Boston on Tuesday who really were looking for a single point of supply for the whole shooting match. And between us, we can do anything you want, or just the device, whatever the pharma customer wants. Between us, we can meet that demand.
Stephen, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think again, we know that companies are relying on us to manage the complexity of bringing a combination product to the market, whether they're one of the biggest pharma companies in the world or they're a small but growing biotech that know they need to have a device to bring their drug product to market. We can really deliver value. And I think that's become a bit of the slogan that we're talking about more at Stevanato is finding ways to use these integrated solutions and deliver the value. And I like what Michael was saying. It's of course great to be speaking to some of the biggest companies in the world, but it's also exciting to talk to these newer companies who are very hungry and hungry for success and are looking for real engagement, because in the market, sometimes they're underserved. And I think if we can offer at least support from a primary container point of view, give them incredible data. Many compliments to Owen Mumford for the very comprehensive technology site that's been established where potential customers and current customers have access to all of this data that in certain cases is not available for other devices because they haven't reached DV or the other companies don't wish to share that kind of data to companies that don't sign agreements. So I respect the transparency and the openness of the teams and that ability to, give them a viable option to choose and then to work towards the scaling and the program launch dates and timelines, because we know customers now more than ever have been talking about timelines, hitting their targets and getting their submissions in on time. And our collaboration will be an integral part of that.
Right. Now, forgive me, because I think both you would have partly answered these questions anyway, but what does OMPS contribute to the collaboration? And I know you would have covered some of that in your previous answer, Michael, but is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so we start, the most important thing with Brent collaborations is the device itself, which is it is a pretty unique device, but really resonates extremely well with customers who are looking to, again, talk about risk mitigation. So this is a device that you can introduce much earlier into development than you could if you were waiting to find out exactly what your drug product was going to look like before you can choose your device. So the device is one part. We also bring a lot of deep expertise and backup in terms of the business development, the R&D. Obviously, the briefing of the operations side within Stevanato in terms of laying out what the demands are has come from us because we're the experts with the device. So that's the main thing. I think the other thing that we bring, and we have touched on it already, is the way that we work with customers is very open and honest. And, it's a very collaborative way of working. And I think that what we found actually is that Stevanato are used to working the same way. And that's been a real plus for the way that the collaboration's panned out.
And Stephen, from your perspective, what are Stevanato Group's plans in terms of bringing the collaboration to life?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's getting out there in the market and talking about the technology and sharing what the technology can do to advance their programs. I mean, back in the early days, I mean, I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. It used to be about 2 years of conversations before you'd even sign a document. Now we're seeing much shorter times for decision, and I think part of the reason is that many of the leaders in auto injectors know that they have to provide more data, that they have to invest more in establishing more of a platform approach. What I like about Aidaptus is, as Michael said, the ability to have a unique single form factor for both the 1 ml and the 2.25, the ability to have different fill volumes. And as Michael said, with his engineering teams and expertise in the operations, collaborating with our people, I mean, they have a meeting next Monday in Denmark where we're actually making the equipment. And I spoke to the CTL, as he's leading from our side, from the project management and working collaboratively with Michael's team. And that's really, I think, part of the key. And additional testing, I would say, as well for the 1 ml and the 2.25, and the fact that we have the ALBA, the next subvariants. And we're doing a body of work together, collaboratively as well, to do more in terms of the testing and data to build on what is already quite an extensive body of work that was done by OM Mumford when they were working through their DV. And having the videos, having that information available to customers, I think allows them to make the decision much faster than before. And that benefits us as well, because we can scale up and basically we're seeing, as Michael said, demands in significant millions, and also demands in sub hundreds of thousands. We're happy to work with both. We just now engage more and try to have conversations like we are right now.
Right, you mentioned timelines. So what are the timelines to the scale up of Aidaptus?
So we're already making industrialized GMP product, which we're shipping to customers now in the sort of hundreds of thousands of units that we have from our established molding supplier, and those products are being manually assembled by OM Mumford right now. The multi-cavity tooling, so the significant multi-cavity tooling, will come on stream middle to Q3 of 2023. So that then gives us the the multi-million capability,
right,
on as far as the components are concerned, and the automated assembly of the sub-assemblies will come on during 2024. So at that point, we'll be able to satisfy demands in the millions rather than the hundreds of thousands. And then we will just, I think what's clear to both companies now is that we will need to, almost as soon as we finish that capacity expansion, we will need to start the next wave.
Yeah, and I think to complement that, it's a strong work cell approach where we can replicate and scale up even further with the tooling, and again having those several tool sets. So I think now 3 different sets of tools, soon looking at 4 or 5, and you grow from there, and then having the modularity of the equipment where you can increase the speed and balance that out very well, as Michael said. And I think Michael said one thing I think is really quite important is looking at the finish line, because sometimes the critical path can be final assembly and final assembly equipment. We're happy to share that we've already started to work with a couple of pharma companies quite well known in the industry to adapt some of the equipment they already have from us to be able to do final assembly for the Aidaptus auto injector. Right. So to us, it's a positive sign. And then we build out a number of bench tops, and also continue, as Michael and I were discussing in our last executive meeting, engaging with the CMOs, the fill finish companies, the companies that are doing final assembly, also in the pharma or with their partners, to make sure that they have the capabilities and the process and the understanding for the Aidaptus to be successful for them as well.
Brilliant. Now, I suppose the final question I've got for you is, obvious one really, what benefits, I think you've touched on these anyway previously, but what benefits is your collaboration bringing to pharma companies?
I think it's risk reduction is probably the, if you wanted a single headline, it's probably that. I think that combining the resources of the two companies, the capability of the two companies means that, we are well placed to meet their needs, solve any problems, come up with technical solutions if things happen unexpectedly during development programs. And I think, we have the ability to do more than one source of manufacturing between the two companies. Again, this doesn't have to be managed or controlled by the customer. It's just something that, we can do between us as a single point of contact. We can solve the issues and mitigate the risks.
Stephen, anything?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the other thing to consider is I believe we're working with about 700 companies globally, and most of the major pharma companies for various types of operations. And with those companies, in some cases, we already have established master service agreements. So it also increases the speed at which we can start programs, working with OM Mumford to ensure that we can, I wouldn't say warp speed in terms of trying to go forward with an auto injector. Most people know that that's generally not the case, but to certainly try to accelerate and help to de-risk their program, as Michael was saying, at the early stages, so that they have a strong business case internally when they're looking to choose a reliable auto injector manufacturing partner. Stevanato has grown quite significantly over the last few years and has strong contract manufacturing capability, already making other auto injectors, inhalers, and so on. And in our proprietary portfolio, we have pen injector and wearable. With this collaboration, we now have a unique 1 ml and 2.25 auto injector through this collaboration. And I believe most companies want a portfolio. They want to be able to have that reliability, but also a range. And there's also excellent devices in Michael's portfolio, like the safety system. And so by working together, this is another part of the collaboration where companies can see that range.
And I know I said that was the final question, but I have got one more. Listening to you two, and it's very rare to get two senior people together talking about these sort of topics. And both of you mentioned collaboration a lot, obviously, because that's what you're doing, and also the openness of the way you work. Do you think that because of obviously the pandemic, collaboration has obviously grown? Do you think that's here to stay now? And also, do you think the openness of the way you're working is something which can become more common within the industry, given that historically it's been a very conservative and quite secretive industry?
That's an interesting question. I mean, my background, Stephen's done 20 years in devices. I've done a good number of years in devices, off and on, but I've also spent decades working in the pharma biotech industry directly myself, and I've done a lot of collaborations, in licensing and out licensing, mergers and acquisitions. So what we're doing, for me, is normal. For the medical devices industry, maybe it's not quite so normal. If you're going to make these things work, one of the things that you have to have is a really good cultural fit and a degree of trust between the two companies. And I think Stevanato and OM Mumford, actually, there's a lot of that. I mean, Stephen, you probably tell Stephen and I get on well. And actually, the guys that own the companies get on well with each other as well, and that's really important. And the levels below us, the people that actually do the work and run the collaboration, it just works because people are working to common purpose. There's a lot of trust. And one of the reasons that we trust each other is we're very open with each other. That's the way we've always worked with customers anyway. I don't think it's any good trying to do a collaboration and trying to keep things up your sleeve and away from your partner. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
Yeah. And I'd like to say, by the same token, there are some great companies out there and some great devices that have been on the market for a while now and have been promoted for 10, 11 years. And I was fortunate enough to be involved with at least a few of them from the early stage right up to the launch and then post-market surveillance. I think it's experience. I think the teams, within the teams that are currently working to bring Aidaptus to the market with pharma partners, have within those teams decades of experience. And these are people that have worked on assembly lines. These are people that have helped close multi-million-dollar deals. These are people that have also lived through the challenges and doing the DV and making sure that you have all the information needed for your FDA submission, or how you deal with the regulatory environment in Europe, and how you do the follow-up with post-market surveillance or your Gen 2. And these are the kinds of things that I think this collaboration can bring. Is collaboration going to be more common in the industry? I would say to a degree, yes. Some companies will try to go it alone, but I see there's greater benefit into working with the right partners on the right programs and bringing those to success.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for answering that additional question I chucked in there. So where can people meet you guys, not just necessarily you personally, but the teams, to learn more about Aidaptus and the collaborations? Where are you going to be next?
So the next immediate opportunity is next week, CPHI, where both of our teams are going to be there. We've got separate exhibition stands, but quite close together, I think. And Stephen and I are not there for all of it, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because the business development teams and the technical support are going to be there from both companies, and that would be a great opportunity to be able to meet the teams and learn more about the product.
Stephen, anything to add before I give out the stand numbers, which I've got in front of me?
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you have them in front of you. I think just saying that Michael hit on a really important point. There's a broad group that are working within drug delivery systems and R&D to support Aidaptus, as well as the great work of Adam and others in product management. And some of those colleagues are going to be at the show, whether it's Adam or Marco or Paulo, and then myself towards the end of the show. I mean, it's very rare that we have 3 shows back to back, and it's been, I think, exciting but challenging as well. But we're going to look forward to having a strong CPHI. It's grown in importance to both companies. We'll have a very large number of people there, from primary container to device to equipment. And I know that Michael's also sent a very strong team to be there to engage with customers and have meetings and engage at a high level, including some executives that will also be on site.
Brilliant. So there you go, viewers. If you'd like to learn more about the collaboration and meet the teams, and you're in Frankfurt next week for CPHI Worldwide, which runs from the 1st to the 3rd of November, then you can visit the Stevanato Group booth. I'm going to read it out now, so I have to look at it. H3F30, which is Hall 3 F30, or the Mumford team, which will be on Hall 3 F63. So they are very close to each other, actually, on the same aisle, in fact, in the same hall. So you can meet the team there, but also I'll put the website links above the video so you can check out their websites as well. And obviously you can contact both Michael and Stephen via LinkedIn, because they both are on LinkedIn. So you can message them that way, and leave any comments you've got from our discussion today in the comments book. We'd love to hear from you as well. So gentlemen, Michael, it's been lovely to meet you for the first time. Stephen, it's good to see you as always, my friend, and you're looking good despite all the travels, I have to say, so well done. And I look forward to seeing you both hopefully in person next week in Germany as well. So thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Good to see you.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.